They thought she was just a waitress. That was the plan. That was the disguise. But she wasn't hired to serve food. She was sent to test it. And today was her first official day inside the restaurant that had already received multiple complaints about food quality, hygiene, and customer safety. She walked in quietly, black apron tied tightly around her waist, hair pulled back, expression calm. No one looked twice at her. That was exactly how she wanted it. The manager barely acknowledged her. "You're new. Stay out of the way and follow instructions." She nodded without argument. Her job wasn't to argue. Her job was to observe. From the moment she stepped into the kitchen area, she began noticing details others ignored. Storage boxes stacked without proper labeling. Refrigerator doors opening and closing too slowly, not sealing completely. Temperature logs filled in with identical handwriting, even for different shifts. Too perfect. Too clean. Perfection in paperwork often hides imperfection in reality. During preparation, she watched carefully as ingredients were taken from storage. Some labels looked recently replaced. She waited for the right moment, then quietly checked one box when no one was watching. The expiration date sticker had been layered over another sticker. That meant someone had intentionally covered the original date. She didn't react. She memorized it. She noticed that certain high-cost ingredients were being swapped with cheaper alternatives. Premium cuts of meat listed on the menu were not the same cuts being cooked. The difference was subtle to customers, but not to someone trained to see it. When food began leaving the kitchen, she paid attention to presentation and quality. One plate came back from a table. The customer said the meat tasted different from before. The manager immediately smiled and dismissed the complaint, but she had already seen enough. In the back room, she quietly took photographs of storage conditions, temperature readings, and mislabeled products. She recorded the inconsistencies without drawing attention. Her phone was secure. The system was encrypted. Every piece of evidence was being sent directly to the businessman who had assigned her this task. She was not there to expose people emotionally. She was there to confirm facts. During dinner rush, the kitchen became chaotic. Orders increased, pressure rose. And that's when mistakes usually happen. She noticed expired cream being poured into a sauce container. She saw a staff member glance toward the assistant manager before making the move. That meant it wasn't accidental. It was approved. Food safety was being compromised intentionally. She remained calm. When a family later complained that their child felt sick after eating pasta, the manager attempted to blame spices. But she knew the sauce batch had included the expired ingredient. She stepped forward politely and requested to check the ingredient storage under company compliance guidelines. The manager didn't like it, but he couldn't refuse without raising suspicion. Inside storage, she confirmed more violations. Improper refrigeration, mixed batches, inventory numbers that didn't match delivery records. She compiled everything. No confrontation, no emotional reaction, just evidence. The assistant manager eventually noticed her behavior. He called her into the office. He tried to intimidate her with authority. He questioned her curiosity. He implied she wouldn't last long if she continued asking questions. She didn't lower her eyes. She calmly replied that her responsibility was to ensure standards were maintained. Her confidence unsettled him. Because she wasn't guessing, she had proof. By the end of the night, her compiled report was sent. Within hours, official inspectors arrived unannounced. The inspection team compared physical inventory with invoices. They checked freezer temperatures. They examined labeling practices. They reviewed digital logs. Everything matched her findings. Expired goods had been intentionally mixed into fresh stock. Labels had been altered. Quality standards had been violated repeatedly. The restaurant's management attempted to explain, but documentation contradicted them. Customers were informed. Refunds were issued. The branch was temporarily shut down pending investigation. The business reputation was affected immediately. But more importantly, people had been protected. Later that night, she returned to meet the businessman in his office. He reviewed the full evidence calmly. No celebration, no dramatic reaction, just evaluation. "You didn't just observe," he said. You documented correctly. She responded simply. The customers deserved accurate standards. He studied her carefully. This wasn't just about one restaurant anymore. The violations revealed deeper issues in supply chains and internal supervision. Someone inside the organization had been manipulating processes for profit. He leaned back and made a decision. This was your first assignment, he said. And you completed it without exposing yourself. She understood what that meant. It wasn't the end. It was the beginning. He continued, explaining that the next responsibility would be larger. Not just monitoring one branch, but overseeing quality across multiple locations. She would need to ensure compliance systems were followed, train staff in food safety awareness, and conduct surprise evaluations. This time, she wouldn't blend in as ordinary staff. She would operate with structured authority. Her role was evolving from observer to inspector, from undercover checker to regional quality control representative. Before she left the office, he gave her one final statement. You proved you can see what others ignore. Now we need you to ensure it never happens again. She stepped outside into the quiet night. The restaurant lights behind her were off. The branch remained closed, but her journey was not. Because when corruption is exposed, it rarely disappears completely. It adapts. And now she was no longer invisible. She was responsible. The next phase would test not just her observation skills, but her leadership. And tomorrow she would walk into her next assignment. Not as a waitress, but as the one who decides whether a business continues or closes.